Was the October 7th, 2023 attack on Israel, was that a dress rehearsal for the United States and Europe? Hey guys, retired Lieutenant Todd Heaton here with Humilitas First. I'm going to try something new, so be sure to let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more of this kind of content. If you haven't heard of Sara Adams, well, she's a former United States intelligence officer known for her work in counterterrorism. I'll put a couple links in the description with what I consider to be need-to-know information on potential threats currently facing our nation that are not on most people's radar. Now, I've shared this with family, friends, and clients, as these potential threats, like the old saying goes, these are the ones that should keep you up at night. The first talk is on The Sean Ryan Show, and it was published December 12th, 2024. The second talk that I would encourage you to listen to, it was just published a few days ago. It was an interview on the David Rutherford Show. Sara Adams, during her interviews, has talked about a potential attack on the United States based on the 2008, November 26th, Mumbai attacks. On that dark day, 10 members of a Pakistan-based criminal organization, I don't think I can use the T word without this video having problems. Well, they did what criminal organizations do these days, which largely looked a lot like a 10-member active shooter group, moving and shooting, destroying innocent life, and then setting everything on fire. That's what they do. Sara Adams has revealed that there are potentially 1,000 members that were trained and sent to the United States and another 1,000 to Europe to carry out what might look a lot like that 2008 Mumbai attack, obviously on a much larger scale. Okay, imagine if you happen to be in the area of the music festival in Israel on October 7th. What's your plan to escape from a whole lot of bad guys whose title both begins and ends with the T, except when that term is plural? Now, I don't know whether the driver of this car knows that their country's under attack by bad guys or not. Either way, when you see cars like flipped over on the side of the road, that's a clue. The next point that I want to bring up is this is a blind corner or a blind curve, and that represents a transition. Transitions are opportunities for the good guy or the bad guy to exploit vulnerabilities. You might want to ease into these kind of transitions with some caution. As a retired police lieutenant, I can tell you that this is a great location, a blind curve, to set up a speed trap. Well, it's also a great place for bad guys to set an ambush. And they do. I can't help but wonder where this dirt road leads to. Now, I know one thing, it leads me off this main thoroughfare. Getting offline with this main road, it's going to lead me away from the bad people who have tactically staged on this blind corner. They might not want to chase me way out into the desert because then that cuts down that body count that they're hoping for using a main road. I would take note of that and file that as a possible option if I don't like what I see as I round this corner. The quality of this video isn't really clear enough to let us identify the bad guys standing on the side of the road, but if you have good eyesight, or good corrected vision at least, by this point you ought to be able to see a couple guys standing over here on the left side of the road. You really need to be looking farther down the road for things like this. This is a lot like good defensive driving. We don't want our focus right here. Yes, we can see this area, but our focus is out further. What's happening further down the road? You need to see farther. Distance buys you time. Time gives you options. Remember that dirt road back there? I think it's time to take that road, the road less traveled. So what are those long objects that they're holding in their hands? Are those rifles? When something like a Mumbai style attack is in full swing, people are the problem. So at that point, I'm not going to be gambling on whether these people who are walking out into the middle of the roadway towards my approaching vehicle as if they want to get me to stop, and what is that in their hands? I'm not going to be gambling whether these folks happen to be legitimate authorities just looking to help me, looking to save me, because they might be bad guys looking to put an end to me. I would avoid folks like this perched in an ambush position on a blind curve. Why? Well, because those are rifles, and these men are not friendlies. Another reason that I want to avoid people is because if these happen to be Mumbai style attackers, or as in this case, October 7th style attackers, well, what are active shooters looking for? They're looking for big groups of people because they're looking for a high body count. That's what the whole TERR issue happens to be about. So it's less likely that they're going to invest a lot of time and effort into chasing down off the beaten path one guy and his family and they're in his car. Now, maybe they do, but I think it's less likely. In this kind of horrific situation, I'm looking to get me and my people offline and away from people. To drive on a main thoroughfare, a logical route to or from the music festival, which was a target, well, that is most likely not going to work out well. Did somebody just throw a rock at his windshield? That's sarcasm, in case you're wondering. Hey, look, we've got 3 more unfriendlies walking out into the middle of the road in front of us. And we still have a couple of adversaries who are just lining up in position directly behind us. So I'll tell you what's untenable. It's to continue to roll forward in a straight line. That's not going to work. Now, I don't know what kind of car this is or what it's capable of, but I'll tell you what my plan would be at this point. I'm going to be heading off in this direction, off-road. Why? The principles that work are universal. So once you understand the principles, you can begin applying them to the different problem sets. It comes down to doing least expected things. Sometimes least expected things end up being the most effective thing to do. Why? Well, because the bad guy or bad guys, they have to observe and then they have to reorient. Then they have to make a decision. Are they willing to pursue you off-road away from this main thoroughfare, which is most likely going to give them the highest body count? Doing the least expected thing, it resets their OODA loop. Doing the least expected things, it can buy you a little window of time. You can use that time to expand distance. Get some distance and they might start missing their target. Yes, at this point, this person's probably screwed. Why? Well, proximity is king. That's another principle. They got in way too deep. Going off-road, that was an option a while ago. At this point, they're just going to get peppered. Don't take my word for it. Rather, listen to a survivor of the music festival attack describe how she and her friends escaped what should have been certain death. Here's a short excerpt. I'll put a link in the description to the full 19-minute video, which is definitely worth listening to.
They were cocky at that point. They have already killed thousands of people, and we are the only driving car on the road besides them, and they were sure they're going to kill us. So they shot at us non-stop towards the underneath of the car and our wheels. We saw the tires like flown outside of the car. We are grinding on the metal. The car started to smoke. They're shooting at us like non-stop. I cannot emphasize that enough. I don't know how I'm sitting here talking to you because I've been shot at least like hundreds of bullets. And also the terrorists have barricaded the road. They flipped cars over, lit them on fire. So any car that is coming from the party direction has to stop. So Ronald had to take the car off the road and on the road, and we almost flipped and we have no wheels. And it was like such a traumatic event while everybody's shooting at us. And by miracle, Ronald was able to maneuver the car, and by the cockiness of the terrorists, we were not hit.
I'll leave you with this. Because I raised 7 children on one income, we're Catholic. I had to figure out Dave Ramsey level strategies and financial tactics way before Dave Ramsey was a thing. So I've always been a very good steward of our family vehicles. I've always emphasized taking great care of those vehicles. I own a couple-year-old Toyota 4Runner, off-road 4x4. But if we ever experience an October 7th style attack here in the United States, I'm viewing that vehicle as disposable. Well, what does that mean? A means to an end. It means exactly what that survivor just shared with us of how her and her friends survived. They were driving on the rims. The vehicle was struck numerous times by bullets. The driver, first of all, had very good driving skills, but second, he was willing to go off-road, on-road. He was willing to use that vehicle as a means to an end, and that end was to escape.